Hey guys, Pat Ryerke here, also known as the Patriarchy, kicking social justice ass well into the year and the beyond. So, everyday feminism, here we go again. This site is ass cancer, so I'm going to continuously keep ripping it apart because I'm just going to rip that asshole to shreds. I am sick of this website. I am sick of their bullshit. I'm sick of seeing their articles and stuff shared. This is the most SJW site pretty much on the internet that I can find right now. Like, especially how they write things. And, the fact that they still get thousands of shares and so on with this bullshit. It's funny, everyday feminism is just a bunch of writers on the site, a bunch of women that I can find for the most part. I think I've read a couple articles on here written by men. But basically, it's them writing like they're experts on all this stuff. And then you read it, and they just go on and on and on, and you're kind of like, can you get to a point, or are you just speaking, are you being obtuse on purpose to drag this out? Are you getting paid by the word? I mean, listen to this fucking headline. The Gender Non-Conformity of My Fatness. April 16, 2017, by Caleb Luna. Originally published on The Body Is Not an Apology and republished here with permission. Yeah, they just share, they find like some bullshit article, like some SJW article randomly, and then they repost it here on Everyday Feminism. These are the people who have the healing from toxic whiteness training that we looked at. Last month I was in a public space, meaning I was in a space that left my body vulnerable to the interpretations of those around me and their responses. Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't get to be in a safe space, you fat ass. Two strangers met nearby, and one asked the other a question that necessitated acknowledging me. The first did so referring to me as she by saying she's waiting in line. I noted this internally, bemused. He then immediately stammered, and what he thought corrected himself to gender me as he. I wanted to tell him it's okay, he didn't do anything wrong, that both and neither are right. Oh, so you could just be whatever. Doesn't matter. Instead, I waited for my pizza to be ready, picked it up, and left. You there getting a pizza. I love it. This wasn't the first time a stranger in public space directly or indirectly expressed confusion about my gender. It won't be the last. Last week I was walking to my bus stop when I passed a stranger who was talking to several people on the street as they walked by. He said hi, so I responded in turn. This led to him walk up to me, put his arm around me, and asked if I was going to let him fuck me. I shrunk away, said no, and he took his arm away and went back to talking to other people on the street. This isn't the first time a man on the street has sexually harassed me in a way that mimics the street harassment so many women face daily. It won't be the last. I mean, it's like a high school like paper or something. It won't be the last. Like, it reminds me like when you go to the coffee shop in high school and somebody thinks they write something really powerful and everyone applauds and stuff. Did anyone have this experience besides me where like you were kind of into poetry and like coffee shops and stuff, and then you went to them and you were like, oh, this is gonna be fun, and then it was always like some gay kid would go up there and give some speech about coming out to his parents, and he wrote some poem and everybody would clap and cry, and I would just be there like, oh my god. Yeah, I dropped that scene. Although, if you are trying to get laid, I will say, hanging out at the coffee shop ain't your worst bet. It can kind of work. One difference I'm sure wasn't only my comfort in telling him no, but also him hearing my no and responding accordingly, though this always hasn't been the case when I tell men no. Still, the interaction was interesting to me in a way this person clearly interpreted my body in a way that was, if not woman, feminine.
So I feel like I've been really triggered lately, and I just want to kind of vent and get it out of my system, and hoping that if I talk about it and say it out loud instead of just writing it down in my journal, something will come of it. It might help some of you guys. I know it's going to hopefully help me. It's really hard being triggered all the time, and I'm not kidding. It's all the time for me at this point.
Some experiences I identify with, and some I don't. I wonder would he have approached someone in the same way who was taller, hairier, less fat, fat in a different way, darker? Would he have asked to be fucked rather than to fuck? Would he have needed to interpret someone as not straight to do so? And what identifiers is he looking for to do so? Well, I'm glad that you're using this article to go through some fucking weird therapy about the scenario that I don't even know if you made up or not about this guy hitting on you. I mean, it's definitely possible this could happen. I've seen stuff like this, but once again, what are we talking about? You're fat, so people can tell if you're a man or a woman? What are you, like one of those fat dudes who looks like a chick, kinda, or something? Or I don't even know. Is this a girl or a guy? I'm so confused. They're making it so fucking vague. I'm guessing Caleb's a guy? Oh, yeah. As a person who was assigned male at birth, my fatness produces my gender in a very specific way. What? I have a big soft belly and what might be called breasts on a different body. This is feminized fatness that is different from the hard, muscular guts found on athletes and those in masculinized spaces like the bear community. I have very little body hair that follows the patterns of my father and other indigenous men I see who look like him. This is another marker of masculinity that my body fails. That, along with my fatness, locates me in a kind of gender purgatory. Both neither, all, and none. Gender purgatory. I fucking love it. Dante's fat, genderless hell. The way I experience my gender getting produced the most, the way it feels more present and prominent, is through sexual currency. In these moments and spaces, it becomes obvious most people consider themselves men who are attracted to men, have ideas of manhood that aren't just cis, but non-disabled and thin or muscular as well. For me, this begs the question, what makes a man? Well, in particular, a penis. You're born with a penis, that pretty much makes a man. I just answered your question very easily. Particularly when thinking about the ways that normative queer spaces construct gender, manhood, and masculinity. And especially when those men who are attracted to me seem to be already especially attracted to a specific type of fat body that aligns with mine. Those bodies are called man or male. These bodies are called man or male. But the physicality of our interactions, the language they use to refer to my body, the assumptions they make about my sexual positions and habits, and especially how they position themselves in their own gender in relation to my body and my gender, suggest that multiplicity of genders are actually present in these interactions. No, you're getting hit on by gay guys who want to fuck you. That's all it means. You're a fat gay guy that probably looks kind of like a chick, and gay dudes want to have sex with you. There isn't this multiplicity of genders are actually present. There isn't. You're just a gay guy. I know you want to seem special. You're probably gay and you can't accept it. That's usually what it is with people who claim to be trans or gender fluid or whatever the fuck it is. You just can't accept you either want to suck a dick or whatever, and you can't accept you have that thing about you that makes you that way. And this is particularly interesting because we might use the shorthand of man to refer to ourselves. Sometimes these interactions vary depending on how I'm dressed, whether I'm wearing big hoops or more subtle studs, makeup or nail polish, or even a skirt or a dress, but many times not. Sometimes when I'm not wearing obviously coded feminine attire, my partner's requested it.
I get dressed in the morning, I'm triggered. I take a shower, I'm triggered. I get in the car, I'm triggered. I go for a walk, I'm triggered. I leave my house, I'm triggered. I sit in my room all day, I'm triggered. I look at my thin, beautiful sisters and I'm triggered, and I just can't.
And the collection of straight identified men who specifically like to sleep with fat men implicitly differentiate. This is a specific gender population. Similar to the way men who identify as attracted to men imply the specific population of cis thin muscular, not disabled, often white, and so on. Wait. The collection of straight identified men who specifically like to sleep with fat men. You mean gay guys? What the straight identified men? Or bisexual? That's not a. I mean, they could identify straight, but they're most likely bisexual or gay. Most likely gay if they like to sleep with men. They're probably closeted homosexuals, but yeah, you're just talking out your ass. That's a gay guy. What's with these gay people that can't accept being gay anymore? It's like gay too mainstream now. It's too normal, so you have to make up all this other shit that you just can't accept that you like to fuck up other people of the same sex. And then what are those that fall outside or fail these standards? There are many activists today doing amazing work around breaking down gender and challenging the binary. This is amazing and necessary work. Actually, no, they're doing horrible work. Awful. Just awful, awful work. That's awful and not necessary and actually been hurting us and diluting the ideas of gender and getting parents to put hormone therapy on their children and shit when they're little kids because they think that they identify as another gender. It's pretty fucked up. But what's get left but what gets left out of the conversation are all the subtle interactions of a body beyond genitals and the secondary sex characteristics that gender rely on, like race, ability, body, size, and even a shape. Similar to the way my fatness interacts with my gender to position me outside of manhood, many fat women activists have pointed out how the fat positive movement, and especially, god damn it, fashion movements, fashion. So I was looking at like it's fashion but with fat in there, so it's fashion, are dominated by pear-shaped smaller fat women. This highlights how womanhood, as well, relies on specific body shapes and proportions to remain legible. What about the women who are apple-shaped or merely round without the normal, appropriate, or acceptable curves? Disabled queer activists have already talked about the way that normative gender performances rely on a non-disabled body, that the gestures and posturing necessary to render a gender legible on a body rely on movements not available to everyone. Yeah, I mean, you could just eat less food and quit being fat. This is starting to sound like somebody complaining about being a fat person to me. How about you guys? That's all I'm getting from this so far. I think this analysis needs to extend to fatness as well. What if people whose fatness produces a body where otherwise presumably obvious secondary sex characteristics become more ambiguous? Whose body challenges presumably clear and defined binary of dichotomies and easily definable bodies? Further, black queer gender non-conforming activists and scholars, most notably Saidia Hartman, have theorized how gender is always already racialized. Of course it is. Of course it's about race. Under colonialism, racialized and colonized people, and black folks especially, are set against a white gender standard that will always fail. We're always set against white masculinity and white femininity, which are always cis, muscular, or thin, and not disabled. Yep, that's why all the star football players in the NFL are predominantly black men. That's why all the stars in the NBA are predominantly black men. That's why most of the top athletes in the world running and winning at the Olympics and stuff like are black men. Yeah, because that's why black men sleep with a lot of white women, and there's the stereotype about how black men get to bang a lot of white women because they have very muscular, big bodies. They're known for the stereotype of having a bigger dick, even though that's not really true. But what are you talking about? We're always set against white masculinity and white femininity? Not really. Not really. I'd say, if anything, white guys are consistently compared up against black masculinity, and you guys compare yourselves. The black community has toxic masculinity, and I will use that term for the black community exclusively, because the black community does have an issue with trying to be tough and manly. I think it's the lack of fathers in the black community, but or not to say what are you talking about? Black people. This is some weird myth that people on the left like to push, that black people aren't popular in this country. Who do you think buys rap albums? White people. Do you think the 13% of the black population is the way Jay-Z makes $1 billion? No, white people. White people buy the albums. They like black people. They like their music. They like them in movies. They like. I know people saying like, oh, well, I'm not that way. I'm not saying you like them specifically because they're black. I'm saying that you don't give a fuck, and when you like somebody in this country and they happen to be black, you don't care. This is just bullshit. A white gender standard that we always fail. You don't fail it. You exceed it. Black men usually physically look better than white guys. That's, once again, look at the fucking NFL. It's dominated by black guys who are fucking huge and in shape. What the fuck are you talking about? Black guys are like the physical fucking standard for like masculinity. Are you kidding me? Like a big black dude? Like, if you watch Luke Cage, motherfucker can fuck people up. I mean, what do you think, this is the fucking 40s or 50s? What the fuck are you talking? Black folks especially are set against a white gent. No, they're not. If that was true, white girls wouldn't be fucking black guys all the time, and they do. And I don't care. You could fuck whoever you want. My cousin, she has a black husband and stuff. I don't care. But yeah, what standard is there? It seems like people just like people, and it happens to be that a lot of girls out there like black men for whatever reason. I don't care. You can fucking fuck who you want. I don't care. I think black women are attractive. It's not because, I mean, it's not like I look at them and I'm like, man, she really exceeds the comparison to white gender. What are you talking about? And I know you mean gender, not entirely sex. You also mean it in physical characteristics and personality traits and all that stuff. You're talking more culture. You're not really talking gender. The more I've experienced this, the more that, in some ways, I feel like my fatness arrests my gender. Regardless of how I feel and how I view my gender, there are material limits to what gender my body is allowed, or more appropriately, disallowed to access. Yeah, pretty much all the shit that you want is not possible. While I don't have a desire to participate in it, I feel like my fatness has excommunicated me from masculinity and perhaps gender as a whole. This complicates the journey for me as someone whose gender feels at different times coerced, contextual, erased, invisible, absent, aspirational, and failing. Okay. The limits fatness placed on my gender possibilities can be overwhelming, and I must acknowledge the other fat, trans, and gender non-conforming people who have very different relationships to their fatness and their gender, whose fatness may help, hinder, or place no bearing on their gender. I don't want my experience to minimize, undermine, or diminish theirs. But as for me, I have come to a place of gender apathy, where gender becomes an experience much larger than me that I have little to no control over, and have forsaken any attempts. I feel no pressure to figure my gender out. You don't have to, you're a guy. I figured it out for you. I've rejected any responsibility to reach a destination or to decipher what gender means for me and what role it occupies in my life and experiences. It's okay, I can help you, you're a guy, you're a fat guy. I'm not interested in presenting a roadmap or answers to a system that refuses to acknowledge the complexity of what informs all of our genders. There isn't a complexity, you're just a fat guy. Come on, dude. The closest I can come to articulating my gender is fat. Well, okay. I'll give you that one. And even this feels like offering more than what is deserved. Like retrofitting a body to a system that never wanted it. The feeling is mutual. What was this nonsense? I could not make fucking heads or tails of this. Article is fucking nonsense. So the premise I can basically get from it was this guy is fat and is gender fluid or whatever, and it's been hit on sometimes by gay men who like to fuck fat gay men who, you know, wear lipstick and makeup and all that. Maybe sometimes they think it's a girl. He could be a fat guy with kind of a pretty face. It's possible. But I doubt it. I'm sure most people know it's a dude. And the whole question is, how much is gender defined by fatness and stuff? This fat guy's trying to add complexity to this bullshit gender fluid topic and all this pseudoscience crap about trans people and all that shit. All these people with mental illnesses. And even this recent, like, a gender expert came out and said all the kids who are saying they're trans are pretty much just fucking lying to be cool. Like, it's almost impossible for there to be that many actual, like, trans people. It's just insane. Like, there's way more than there could possibly ever be. And yeah, so the whole thing is that gender is racialized. So gender's about race, and gender's also about fatness. So somehow they mix the gender thing in with body positivity and racial profiling and all that. So, like, not only are we're racist, we're pretty much being racist and sexist in the way that we look at fat people and think about fat people and gender. And we're also looking at I guess the only thing I could get from this is that this is a fat person, a fat gay guy that's really upset about being overweight or something, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, so he's writing this whole thing trying to rationalize him being overweight as some kind of extension of his fucked up life or the gender fluidity he thinks he has, or all these certain aspects of it, and your gender is fat. I mean, that you have to identify that. That's just to protect, like, I identify as fat. Don't make fun of fat people. You attack my character. Like, it's biology. Like, you eat too much. You're fat. Like, you eat too many calories. You're probably overweight and you don't exercise. You probably have a mental illness on some level or an abnormality. That I don't mean like you're crazy. You might just have something wrong with your brain that makes you feel the way you do, and you probably need medication and help. And I think you should seek it. Nothing here is backed up by science. Almost nothing here you said has any scientific evidence that I can find. You didn't link to anything. You just talk about people who theorize things, which is nothing. And your article lacks a point. It lacks a focal point. You're just going around in circles to basically explain to us who you are. You're trying to give us this explanation of who you are. Which, you know, if you want to do that, just write a fucking blog about your life. But this article, it doesn't. If the whole premise is that the gender what is it up here? The gender non-conformity of my fatness. Because you're fat, your fatness can't conform to being male or female. Well, the problem is it is conformed. You have a dick. You're a fat guy. You're a fat guy. And that's as simple as it is. You adding all this extra stuff to it to yourself is fine. You're writing your little fucking book out here. Just this all this bullshit you write out here. I mean, it might make a teacher happy in the right class, but you didn't really say anything. This is even worse than most everyday feminism articles. At least they have their point trying to make, and then I can argue against the point. This article doesn't even have a point. It's just somebody rambling on and on and on. I feel like I wasted your guys' time even going through this, but yeah. Turns out, I guess fat is an extension of the gender thing now, so you know what it's gonna be. This is just a bunch of people that don't want to be called fat. These are a bunch of people that don't want to be pointed out for looking weird, which I get, man. I know it sucks being fat. I know it sucks, like, being ugly or weird. Like, I know, dude. Like, I mean, I'm not fat, but I know it sucks. It has to. I know it's fucking awful. I feel bad for you guys. Don't think I don't care. It does suck. I get it sucks to have people make fun of you and stuff, dude. That's not cool. People shouldn't make fun of you. That's not right. But you're not helping yourself. You're playing the victim card and you're not reflecting on the fact that you might be the problem and you might be the issue. Somehow it's society or the world that has to figure you out. It's not the fact that you can't figure out the world or reality. And that's the issue, my friend. This is the patriarchy. And to Caleb, get your shit together and quit eating so much fucking pizza. Stop it. You fat whatever the fuck you are. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your opinion in the comment section. Until next time, go fuck yourselves.
I tried being anorexic once for a whole day. It's really hard. You have so much willpower. No, it's not willpower. It's a serious mental illness. And it's a disease that shouldn't be taken lightly. You cannot be anorexic just because you skip a meal or two